Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Parker Olson. Parker is an entrepreneur, health enthusiast, and explorer of dietary philosophies. Driven by his passion for wellness and a unique entrepreneurial spirit, Parker embarked on an 18-month journey experience with 18 different diets, testing how each impacted his personal health, energy, and well being. This exploration led to a groundbreaking discovery about the powerful benefits of brain enhancing mushrooms and their potential role in daily nutrition. Determined to bring these benefits to the masses, Parker founded FORIJ, a health forward snack brand that prioritizes wellness, quality ingredients, and an unwavering commitment to health education. Parker's journey is more than just a personal health story. It's a testament to the power of dietary exploration, individual agency, and the disruptive potential of innovative ideas in the food industry. His experience brings a fresh perspective to discussions about nutrition, entrepreneurship, and personal wellness, offering insights that encourage listeners to challenge their own dietary norms and assumptions. Today, we talked about Parker's wellness journey. He did 18 different diets and found that it wasn't sustainable to do something too restrictive, and that he felt better off doing like the 80% 80-20 rule. And really, it makes sense because it's what you do consistently that matters, that changes everything. And he found he had to be on something for, I think, about 16 days before he saw results from it. So it is about the consistency, but it's also about the sustainability. And on this journey, he discovered the medicinal powers of mushrooms and how they could bring energy, brain clarity, get rid of brain fog, and all sorts of different things. It was pretty interesting just talking about fitness, wellness, the different training zones that we can do for our body, what gets us results, what doesn't work. And this was a really good podcast, just talking about being fit and healthy and what's sustainable. What can we do long term? And his products, he's 27 years old and he has these amazing products on the market. So I can't wait for you to hear all about his entrepreneurial journey as well. That was pretty interesting. So without further ado, we're going to dive into this episode with Parker Olson. I'm excited to welcome Parker Olson to the Sisterhood of Sweat. Welcome.
Linda, what's going on? I'm happy to be here in amidst such an elite athlete herself. So thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. I love talking about fitness and nutrition and athletics. I think those become the best conversations that I have on the show because they're fun and everybody tunes in when you're having a good time.
Totally.
And I'm having Parker on today to bring the zest and the freshness of youth to
Yeah.
everybody in the audience, the excitement that he has for his product FORIJ and his journey and his athleticism. Tell the audience a little bit about your 18-month journey through 18 diets and everything to find your own solution.
Sure. Yeah. So a little bit of background. I am 27, Linda. So what does that put me, like, just 2 years younger than you, probably?
Of
29, I'm
course.
guessing. Yeah, okay. And yeah, I work in the health and wellness space. I'm like to compete in triathlon. So I did like a couch to an Ironman back in 2019. That was pretty eye-opening for me, and learned a lot about nutrition. And around that same time, a little bit before, in 2018, I started experimenting with nutrition. I don't know why. I honestly like didn't never really thought about nutrition, ate pretty well, was always quote unquote pretty healthy, right? Would go to the gym, like was working out, was doing the things that they say you're supposed to do. And one day I just thought, I don't know why do people eat vegan? I don't really understand why people eat vegan outside of the people who eat vegan for an environmental reason. Like, sure, if,
Right.
if you feel super passionate about the environment and you believe eating a certain way may help that,
Yeah.
okay, believe that. So I decided to go vegan for 30 days, and that was eye-opening for me. It was challenging for the first couple of weeks. And then I felt pretty good after, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Like what you're eating impacts how you're feeling, right? And so I repeated that self experiment for 18 months in a row. So I tried like 18 different nutritional regimens and for 30 days at a time, documenting how I felt. A couple general thoughts on it, honestly, for folks that maybe are interested or have tried different diets. Like I found, and I did a little research after to kind of confirm that this is pretty normal, but usually it took about 14 to 16 days to notice the effects. So for the first 14 to 16 days of switching diets or switching nutritional regimens, I felt pretty crappy and honestly like would still have cravings and it wasn't the easiest. And then after really that 14, 16 day mark, that roughly 2 week mark, I started to feel kind of more normalized and then would start to kind of feel, how my body felt on the diet. So got really into that. And a couple of my takeaways were, just because I felt really good on a diet, if it wasn't super sustainable, so sustainable for the long term, it's sort of not worth the time. As an example, I guess, Linda, do you eat a certain way at all right now?
Yes.
How do you eat?
Actually, right now I eat very balanced, and all the way up until I've done two shows, let me think, in the last 4 weeks.
Cool.
And they were both, this one I cut back just a little, but like I had carbs all the way through. I had, protein, good fats, carbs, no food groups were cut out. I just don't
Nice.
eat the white flour, white bread, white sugar, white bread on occasion, but like not as a normal staple of my diet
Yeah.
because it's not, white bread is twice dead. So I don't eat things that
Oh,
don't
I like
give
that.
me life and energy and make me vibrant, because to reach all the goals that I'm reaching and that I want to reach,
Hmm.
I have to have boundless energy. And so I eat things that bring me life.
Yeah, no, I love that. And then, so yeah, a takeaway for me was sort of around that of like, if I were eating foods and let's say I actually felt pretty good, but it was really challenging with my life and like with my current goals and like what I was trying to do and was sort of interfering with life. I would never ever recommend a diet like that to anybody. Even if they say, wow, I feel 100%, but I can't achieve my goals or I can't, do the things I want to do. I think that's bad. And so for me, one of those takeaways was finding finding that sort of nutritional regimen or diet that you're not going to stick to 100 days out of 100 days. You're going to stick to 80 days out of 20 out of 100 days. It's the 80-20 rule, and it enables you to feel your best, and it also enables you to sort of live your life and sort of go after your goals, right? So for you and what you're doing is probably more intense than maybe some of the listeners and maybe myself, but for me it was really like whole food eating. Honestly felt super great. And then the month that I felt really the best, which was really interesting, was when I was supplementing with this class of mushrooms. So I was eating like medicinal or functional mushrooms. I had gotten off of all caffeine and all other supplements. And that month I like had a ton of energy and was feeling super lively and really active and super productive at work and just like was getting a lot done and was very happy. And so that's sort of what kickstarted my like journey into really spending time in the nutrition space. A little bit of background, Linda, my actually educational background is in neuroscience, and I'm pretty familiar with what psychedelics do to your neural structure, what other drugs, caffeine, tobacco, opioids, et cetera, do to your nervous system. And from that background, sort of had a little research into some of these quote unquote like functional or medicinal mushrooms. Are you familiar with that category at all, with those types of mushrooms?
With what?
Like medicinal mushrooms, like maybe
Yeah,
like
like
lion's mane or
chaga and
chaga.
lion's mane and reishi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you know about them, or like what have you heard, or have you tried them,
Um,
or?
Well, like Four Sigmatic coffee,
Yeah.
I've tried, and I found that the adaptogens, that they had, and also like just doing like, cordyceps, the reishi, the
Yeah.
like one boost your metabolism, one boost like the brain, like
Hmm.
I like the lion's mane. The chaga gave me energy.
Cool.
They're all different. I mean, they all have different uses.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in supplementation that you can help yourself out of a lot. I mean, I didn't rip all the muscles from the pelvis and come back and win my fitness championship, fitness universe, without learning a thing or two about recovery and how doing natural things like rest, hello,
Yeah.
and sleep, hello, and water, hello,
Yep.
ring that bell, but also creatine. I
Yep.
actually, used that, which I never thought I would. And things like hyaluronic acid for their joints because it
Oh,
oils them up. Boswellia, which also helps if your joints are kind of catching or you feel them grinding. It
yeah.
kind of oils up the joints.
What was that one
Um,
called? Buzzwella? I haven't heard of that.
Boswellia.
Oh, cool.
And
Interesting.
then let me think. This one was an unusual one, but it takes inflammation out of the body. Chinese skull cap was amazing.
Oh,
And I don't think there was, and then collagen, but I stopped taking the extra collagen when I realized that creatine creates its own collagen in your body. So I was doing everything, and turmeric was my best friend.
cool.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Turmeric's awesome.
now MSM, I take things though, they were kind of combined. So I didn't take separately all of these things. But I will say that it was amazing to me because my doctor sat down and had a talk with me about maybe I needed to rethink after 3 injuries, boom, boom,
Yeah. What
boom.
you're gonna
I
do.
need to rethink what I was doing. I should not compete again,
Hmm.
um, and all the things. So I laid it out though. I definitely took my time until one day I just kept dreaming that I could do my routine. And I thought, I just keep dreaming this. I must be able to do it. And I
I
went
love
back to
that.
the doc and I said, can you run an MRI so I can just make sure that it's healed? Because I don't want to break anything. I don't want to
Yeah.
take. And he was testing me out and he's like, gonna send me to therapy or whatever. But he was like, well, I think you could go for it. So I did. I did. And then 3 months later, here I was at the Fitness Universe Championship doing my routine,
Yeah.
feeling strong. And that to me is a miracle on how, if you give your body the right ingredients, the right environment,
Hmm.
that it can heal.
Yeah. No, I love that. And just touching on that point. I feel like, at least for me, like it and getting into fitness, there was a big breakthrough moment mentally, which has unlocked a lot physically, where I accomplished something that like I thought was super scary, or that I could never have the ability to do so. I'm guessing
Yeah.
for you, some of these competitions, but what I still remember completing the first like Ironman event and thinking,
That's not anything shabby. That's a lot.
no, yeah. But like having the belief for a long time while I was training, like there's just no way that I'll be able to do it. And then getting and doing it and being like, oh, that wasn't like that bad. And it was this cool unlock mentally where it's like when you really do find something, and I think a physical goal is really tangible because it's really up to you and like to work and like to put in that daily training, and then oftentimes you can achieve it if you're putting in that daily training, but to find a really big scary goal and to go out and achieve that, it unlocks this like mentality of like, whoa, like I think I'm actually way stronger or way better than I think I am, and
Right.
like need to be challenging myself and on lots of different goals that maybe now seem really scary. I never would even think about having such goals. But I imagine, that type of experience for you maybe was super powerful mentally to be like, wow, I thought my life was going to be over in the fitness realm and, came back and did this. Like, whoa, what else is possible here?
So like the mind over matter thing, I truly do believe in your mental mindset being very
Totally.
powerful, because I tore my hamstring the night before a show, and before I was flying out, but the x-ray person never came back, and I fell
Oh, never
asleep.
told you?
Yeah, right. I fell asleep on the table. It was 1:30 in the morning, and I just turned to my husband. I said, I think we're gonna go. If they can't find the x-ray person, I need, I've been here how long?
Oh my
So we
God.
went back, and I was like having a hard time walking, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go see what I can do. And really, I had no idea that I fully had blown my hamstring. I competed with a fully blown hamstring, and that was only mental mindset. And also I did a lot of cryotherapy while I was there, which really
Nice.
made it feel like, for an hour and a half afterwards, it would just feel like my normal leg.
Yeah, that's yeah. I use the have you used any of like the Normatec equipment or like the Normatec boots at all? Like the compression boots?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't use them. I've been thinking about getting some for the studio, but I literally, they use the cryotherapy, the one that they can do localized on my
Okay, yep.
hamstring, but I also got in the booth.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's all I did was that, and just, I sat and listened to Oprah, Joel Osteen, Coach Todd Durkin when I had that day until it was time
I
to
bet.
compete, just pumping up my
Yeah,
brain. Because
mentally.
really, it first starts in your brain. Everything you do, like your decision to have a healthier life, uh,
Hmm.
your if you're going to do a race, it's
Yep.
really more about the things you tell yourself, your mental mindset. Of course, you want to be in shape, but your the most important muscle to work is your mind.
Totally. Couldn't agree anymore. And have you seen some really interesting studies done on like placebo effects, where there's been tons of studies that, between like a placebo of like a fake drug and then the actual drug, people who are taking the fake drug are reporting feeling the same effects as people who are taking the drug. And it's just like when you believe that what you're taking is supposed to do something, oftentimes it will actually do that, even though, like your brain is essentially recreating that environment where like the fake drugs are actually maybe having real effects because you are first believing it, which is
Well,
crazy.
it's faith, having faith,
Yeah,
and
belief.
faith is not something you can see. And so that is why sometimes people logical brain, they don't
Hmm.
want to fit, oh, that's hocus pocus or something, but really it's a reality. You're proving it with this research and the placebo, but uh belief is an important thing.
Yeah, it's hard to define, but I completely agree.
If you don't believe in yourself, you wouldn't have started your company, right?
Well, totally. It's sort of this like blind faith. You're like, when you look at the thing on paper, it's not going to work, but you have to have the blind faith that that like it will work or that you're going to succeed or hit your goals. And then once you hit them and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. What
Well,
else is there out there?
I believe God fully restored my body,
Hmm.
and that, the body is a wondrous thing on how that it can heal. And so I think, you know, when you see the butterfly can fly, but aerodynamically it shouldn't be able to, um,
Yeah,
that you can do amazing things that really, in reality, if you were being realistic, you shouldn't have been able to do them.
totally. And I imagine you see people at the gym all the time, like go through these transformative journeys, fitness. And do you do a lot with nutrition at all at the gym, or mostly fitness focused?
No, nutrition is
Yeah.
85% of my clients' results. Because if you're only working out with a trainer or going to a class 2 to 3 times a week, that's really not enough,
Totally.
unless you're eating right.
Well, that's just it. It's like if you were eating right, but only working out, and doing light exercise, like you can kind of get to a really healthy place as
But if
well.
you're doing both, that's dynamite. That's what changes you. And it doesn't have to be some crazy workout. If you're just very consistent with your workouts and with your nutrition, you can
Mhm.
see amazing changes.
Yeah. Are you familiar with any of the research going on with like the heart rate zone training and like zone two training at all?
I've done a lot of that. I have a lot of different philosophies on that. I think, they tell you you can only burn fat in this zone
I
and
don't know
all
about
this
that.
stuff. I'm sorry, but I go by my eyes and what I
Sure.
see happening. And I've been in fitness since I was 21. I'm 60. And what I have seen is that when you have put in an intense workout and gave it all your 100% effort, you get 100% results. And the people that I see burning fat weren't walking for 30 minutes most
Yeah,
of the time.
totally.
I'm not saying walking isn't good or that it doesn't help. Like if you're walking everywhere, like New Yorkers, or you're walking everywhere because you're in a place where you just walked for everything, that does work because you're active all day. But
Right.
just going to the gym and walking 3 days for 30 minutes is not the same as doing HIIT training or sprints or
Mhm.
running or stair climbing. Those type of things, when you sweat and you show exertion, that you're going to burn more calories overall, and
Yeah.
also build muscle.
Also, some of the research I read about doing the zone five, the upper level training of like you're really sweating, you're like giving your
that's
all is after the workout because it was such
that's
an
when you
intense,
get
like
more.
yeah, like
Yeah,
you're burning fat and you're burning those calories for the rest of the day. I'm more so like just because I've been more interested in doing like endurance sports and whatnot of like the zone two training of just like it builds this like massive base of capability to like exist in that zone for a very long time, right? Versus like I'm not trying to burn fat. I think I kind of agree with you on the sense though that a
well,
lot of people's fitness goals are around
what
that.
that was what was told to people for the longest time is the zone of fat burning is where your heart rate's like not really that high.
Mm-hmm.
um and so the reality is exertion, 100% effort, it gets 100% results.
Yeah. Yeah, and to your point earlier, like it depends where somebody is on that journey. Like if you're just trying to get in shape, like you just start somewhere, right?
Well,
But
100%.
but once you
Yes.
but once you started, it's like yeah,
Yes.
like building that up
I'm
over time.
mhm.
Totally.
Yeah,
Do
I'm
you
not I'm not saying that. I want to clarify this to anyone listening. I'm not saying that walking isn't worth it. It definitely
totally
is worth it. What I'm saying is you have to put the time in though. If you're gonna walk longer than 30 minutes. Walk faster than a slow pace. Walk the
yeah
fastest pace that you're able to. And of course, everything's a building block. Like my friend
yeah
Tim Story says, get out today, walk to the fifth house, get out tomorrow, walk to the 10th house. You
yeah
know, do what you can do until you can do more. But basically what I'm saying is you got to put the effort in to get the
totally.
what you want out of it.
Yeah. Is there like a big challenge you see at the gym that like many people struggle with, or a theme you see that is really challenging for lots of people maybe just starting out in fitness?
Yes, to stop criticizing themselves and
Mm,
stop comparing themselves to everybody else, and also to realize that nobody's really watching you. They're all into their own
nobody cares.
thing.
Yeah.
Nobody really cares. So you think that they're watching you, judging you. They're really not.
I
you
find it,
know
well, I was gonna say on that note, I feel like I find in a lot of instances it's like if anybody is paying attention, it's because they respect you. It isn't because they're judging you. Like people don't care about other people besides themselves, but
Most
if
people are
someone's feeling
cheering you on.
inspired, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny too, just on that note, like in my world, just chatting with other entrepreneurs and other people trying to build businesses and in the food space specifically, there's a lot of like imposter syndrome of people who are like, I don't believe I should be here. I'm not good enough to be doing this, or like are very anxious about it. And and are very critical on themselves and thinks everyone's judging them. And it's like, no, everyone's just out here like doing their own thing. It's just so focused on what they're doing that like I have no idea. I chatted with a woman the other day, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and she's like, "Oh my God, your content's so great! Like, I really want to like start building my brand on LinkedIn, and I'm just nervous like people are gonna like judge me." And I'm like, nobody will even like there will not be one person who will notice at the very beginning if you're posting or not. It's just like that's all a mental construct in your own mind.
Well, people don't want to fail. They don't want to look stupid. They
Yeah,
don't want to appear that they don't know what they don't know. They don't want to be
yeah,
criticized. But I will say that my journey back was not an easy journey.
sure.
Um, Not at all. And
And when you say
I
my
had
journey
this
back, are you referencing the
from
injury from
all
earlier? Yeah, okay.
I mean, I had some horrific injuries that and everybody listening knows like that I ripped my groin completely from the
Yeah,
pelvis. My hamstring had to be sewn back, reattached, and my other hamstring. And I've also blown my ACL and had to have that redone. So I'm just saying, basically, with those three injuries, the journey back was difficult. And the reason being is judging myself for not being where I was.
hmm,
And once I accepted myself just the way that I was and stopped judging myself and stopped comparing myself to my old self and really embraced the fact that, yeah, I'm lucky to be running and I run slower now because of all I've got to, get back to, I mean, like basically in shape. I mean,
hmm.
and so just letting go of who I was and stop comparing myself to the old me and just really realize, okay, we're going to move forward in a different way. I can't move forward in the same way.
Right.
I need to move forward in a different way. And there's more to me than just my body, but also not comparing myself to other people either. So
Yeah.
I just think, again, though this is a little cliche, that comparison is the thief of joy, but it's also the thief of you getting anywhere. So if you want to get somewhere, you have to let that go and you have to be like, okay, I'm willing to suck it until I don't. I'm willing to it be a little messy and me not be so amazing at it
Hmm.
until I am.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Until you actually show up, right? It's sort of the fake it till you make it type gene, which
Just keep
yeah, it's
going. Be
yeah,
stubborn. Refuse to give up, and you will get in shape.
totally. Yeah. And eat well and drink water and sleep and but it's funny when you start to say that, it's like, oh, there's so much to do, but it really is just the fundamentals. Like, can you get out and be active every day to start? Can you try and eat well when you can? It's not all the time. And if you eat a meal and it's not healthy, that's okay. That doesn't mean that the journey's over, right? This is just a consistent battle over time, and you're trying to find more wins than losses. So
Well, the 80-20 rule today, my client told me she's about 80% there, that I could have 80% of her. She still wants to have fun. She wants to
I
have some
like that.
things she wants to have.
I
And
kind of like that.
I said, well, your goals are your goals. So I want to meet your goals, not my goals for you.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if that's your goal, then we can do that easy. And I love that she was 100% honest about that.
Hmm.
And you have to be honest with yourself when you're going for anything of what does it require to have six-pack abs? Do I want to work that hard? Do I have that kind of time? Or am I happy with like a four-pack, or you know what I'm saying, or just a flat stomach?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. A lot of my roommates, like, we've done the triathlons together, and they go and they're doing like a lot of lifting now and putting a lot of weight. And I'm just like, I just don't have the time to commit to that. I'd rather stay in shape cardiovascular wise and, sit in that realm. But of course, you see things that you want, and, it can be challenging to right size, are you really willing to put in the effort, and what are you willing to sacrifice to get there?
And
So
I really do. I do enjoy it all. I love training. I love the nutrition. I love the science behind everything. And I love helping clients. So tell us a little bit about your nutrition bars that you have. How did you come up with the
Yeah.
idea, and what has been your struggles getting your company off the ground?
Yeah. So, I came up with it after doing this 18-month experiment of diets, and really what we're doing is we are taking packaged foods and using whole food, low sugar ingredients. We try and focus low sugar, gluten-free, non-GMO ingredients, and we add in like a mushroom supplement in the form of a powder. So we use two mushrooms. One is the most bioavailable vitamin D you can consume. So vitamin D, like super critical vitamin. 1 in 2 people on Earth are vitamin D deficient. Shows to help with everything from inflammation to cognitive health to bone density. And so one of the mushrooms we use gives you 20 to 25% of your daily value of vitamin D per serving of whatever product it is that you're consuming. And the other one we use is a mushroom called lion's mane, which synthesizes basically the building blocks that your brain cells feed on. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, of studies that have been done that show, consuming lion's mane on a daily basis of an active amount actually, supports the creativity and actually will make you more productive, and basically keeps your brain in a healthy spot. There's a lot of really interesting research going on with it about preventing Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's. And so we take these mushrooms and we put them into packaged food goods to help people with cognitive health and to help them get vitamin D into their bodies in a really bioavailable format. So the name of our brand is it's called FORIJ. It's FORIJ. And we do like a loose bag of granola, and we do meal replacement bars as well.
You also have granola, I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like you said. But uh, people might not quite understand why mushrooms. I did read
yeah,
that mushrooms are the closest to our DNA.
they are. So yeah, so here's a good tidbit for you, Linda. So when people think about natural medicine, they think about plant medicine, right? And plant medicine, yeah, there's some great medicines there. There's actually a ton of medicine that is based on fungi or mushrooms. And part of the reason mushrooms are such a great, basically like have great medicinal value to humans is because the DNA is so similar. So there is this barrier in your brain. It's called the blood-brain barrier. And its job in your body is to not let dangerous things into your brain, because if like a pathogen were to get into your brain, can kill you, right? Can shut down your brain and you could die. And so most plant medicines actually can't get into your brain and act on your brain through the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier rejects lots of plant medicines. Many medicinal mushrooms can get through the blood-brain barrier and then sort of act on your brain. And part of that is because our DNA is so similar. So, you think about, what's the most powerful, medicinal quote unquote plant or fungal medicine about, like you may be thinking like psychedelic mushrooms,
Yeah, they
and
make you
those
hallucinate, right?
they can
They
they
can.
can so part of the reason is part of the reason that they're so powerful for humans is because they can get through the blood-brain barrier and act on your central nervous system, where a lot of plant medicines find jobs to.
Imagine you wander on a field of mushrooms and you think, oh, mushrooms, I'm going to chop these up and put them in my salad.
Yeah, it's
But
not that
they were
straightforward.
shrooms, they were hallucinogenics. And you're like, oh.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't recommend. um so yeah, that's
Oh,
sort of what
sorry, I'm
what we're
just
trying to
having a
do.
little humor today, but I know that people don't always realize that, they could be poisonous. They could be also,
Totally.
the psychedelic. And so it's not wise to just see mushrooms out there, pick them up. Oh yeah, I'm gonna chop that up and put it in
Yeah,
myself.
I think a lot of people sort of understand that, and the reality is that of all mushroom species that are currently studied, like less than 0.1% are actually like deadly or harmful. But yeah, don't go out there and don't consume them. That's a bad idea. And so yeah, we like all the mushrooms we use. Like sometimes customers will ask like, oh, do you forage for these yourself? And no, there's absolutely no way I'm foraging for them myself. We partner with the largest mushroom producer in the U.S. called Monterey Mushrooms out of Monterey, California, and they produce 93% of all brown button mushrooms found across the world. So they're like a huge
Wow.
mushroom supplier, really legit. We get awesome testing done with them for basically bioavailable amounts of this vitamin D, and then also of this lion's mane mushroom, which is really cool.
So what's the biggest thing that you have found through eating your bars,
Yeah.
that your customer experiences?
Yeah, so we hear a lot of like, I know some people who are like, hey, my best days are at work or when I'm like consistently eating forage for breakfast. Or it's like, it can just feel like a lot of energy and sort of just like intently getting things done throughout the day. We all kind of know that feeling, and a
Which is
lot
a
of
lot
people,
better than piling on the caffeine.
yeah, which we all know is easy to do. So yeah, that's the idea. That's what we're trying to help with. And and unfortunately, and I think a lot of people look at these mushrooms and say, okay, awesome, I'm going to try them. These mushrooms are not like caffeine where like you consume them one day and then wow, you have all this energy. Like they take time to build up in your bloodstream, and so oftentimes the best results are when you can commit and say, all right, I'm going to consume this mushroom or this mushroom extract or something that has this mushroom in it, such as our products, for a couple of weeks, and then you'll start to see these compounding effects that are reoccurring daily, and you're
Well,
not reliant on caffeine every single day.
I saw amazing effects once I gave up coffee. I sleep
Mm,
better.
I
Uh,
bet.
I don't have cortisol. I like no, the belly fat. I don't have that. I don't have uh I don't know, I guess cravings as much.
Mm,
I'm calmer.
okay.
Like I'm just saying, like there's something I feel more chill.
Yeah.
Um about not piling on the caffeine because I really think it messes with your adrenals too, and
Yeah.
it can rob you of your sleep. You think, oh, more caffeine, I'm tired, more caffeine, but it's a vicious cycle. I think in the long run, if you're overdoing your caffeine, I'm not saying not have a cup of coffee, but if you're, you know,
Overdoing it. Yeah.
four
Two, three,
cups
four.
in, it's really robbing you of more than it's giving you.
Totally couldn't agree anymore. Yeah, they say what caffeine has like a 12-hour half life. So if you drink caffeine at noon, it will still be in your system at midnight. So
It increases your blood sugar, like it messes with the blood sugar, is what most people don't know.
yeah, I'm not familiar.
Just like a carb.
Hmm,
So when you have that caffeine, it literally does mess with your blood sugar. That's why when it's kind of worn out a little bit of the system, you crash. Just like
hmm,
if you had sugar.
yeah, you crash. Yeah, once it's burned through.
Yeah. So it's interesting,
Interesting. Yeah.
the different things. Now it is a stimulant. They say that it helps you work out better. There's a lot of research, where they're saying like it helps with your brain, different things to be firing. But I think that the effects negate when you have too much of it.
Of course, like a lot of things, right? But caffeine just is like the most acceptable drug we take every day.
Yeah, like people think more is better, but really less is more.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Uh, so with your business, you had some struggles getting this off the
Hmm,
ground. I love to hear about that. I'm definitely an
sure.
entrepreneur, and I have a lot of entrepreneurs listening.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I moved, when we were producing at a local pizza kitchen down the street, and I needed space to like store ingredients and finish good. And so I moved into my backyard at the time. For 2 years, I slept in a tent in our backyard, and I threw out my bed, and we used our bedroom as like storage racks, and we had some desks in there. And so that was a journey. That was interesting for the dating life, Linda, as you could guess. And then after that, we started to sell our product into grocery stores, and so I actually, we bought a branded camper van. So you hit a button and the roof comes up, and you could crawl up to the roof through the vehicle. It's a 1995. It was a Japanese import, so wheels on the other side. And I lived out of that for a year and slept in grocery store parking lots and drove around the country and got our product into lots of stores around the country, about 1,000 stores. And then, so I've kind of gone through that and done all sorts of things to kind of promote the product. So, sometimes we'll just go out, and I live on the lake right here in Seattle, and we'll swim product out to people who are out kayaking or whatever, just for fun. So it's a daily hustle, as I'm sure you know, Linda, just to try and get the word out and try and meet with customers and address customer issues and think about product and shelf life. It's a challenge, but it's fun. and it's worth it. It's cool to see people feel better after consuming your product, right? Versus a lot of the other kind of shittier products on the market. Excuse my language.
Well, there you go. But I love hearing the entrepreneurial journey because I think back to mine. I mean,
Sure.
over the years, guys, I remember being in a gym where I had to sell memberships, but like I only wanted to coordinate aerobics. And so the guy's talking me into selling memberships, and he was like a used car salesman. And I was like, well, all right, all right. If I can coordinate aerobics and teach classes, I'll sell for
Yeah.
you. But it is a necessary part of what you do as an entrepreneur, because if you can't sell somebody to come on board, you can't sell somebody to invest in your product, you can't sell somebody to want your product,
Hmm.
you can't sell yourself that this is good. You got to be able to sell
Yeah.
your product. And so
Sales is number one skill.
just I remember being in the parking lot, we called it PL. And we literally, I was like 28, chasing people down to, come to the gym. And it wasn't hard then because there weren't very many gyms around like ours.
Sure.
So we'd give them a free pass or whatever. But I just remember some of those funny things that we would do. In my first small studio, um, the bathroom had a lot to be desired, let's just say. And the mirrors, I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh, you've got to get mirrors that made people look skinny." And they wanted me to spend all this money on skinny
Oh
mirrors. This was a
my
business this businessman told me. And then
God.
your bathroom, you need to spend at least $4,000 or $5,000 and spruce that thing up, you know. So those were the early days of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, let's say. Now I have a nice bathroom and my mirrors are good. But I will say maybe I should go back to the other mirrors. It probably made people be like, I need to come every day.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, totally. Well, and to your point, there's so much bad advice out there. So many people telling you things you need to do, and you really don't need to do them. But
They did
it's
not know they were twerking. They were twerking mirrors once upon a time. People, there were like, this is terrible. You said a cuss word. Now I'm saying basically people, there were pole dancers and they used these mirrors. I got them for free. So I was like, hey, these are big mirrors. They covered the whole studio.
oh man, that's hilarious. It's all part of the journey.
But I
Oh,
mean, it's kind of a funny part of the journey. And I think that uh, starting Scrappy there, is that actually to me, it's a good way to go because you build and you build and you build. I think where companies go wrong is when they start too big and grow too fast and
totally.
then they can't manage it.
Yeah, and customers aren't as loyal, and you start to see issues there as well. So I see that all the time, honestly here. So
So what's the best advice you can give entrepreneurs out there, because it's pretty impressive that at 27 you have your own brand in grocery stores that you created.
man, I think well, a couple things, and actually it's funny because I feel like there's been some light lessons around, but like nobody wants to be sold, and you really want to find buyers. So what that means is like if you're trying to sell something that nobody knows about or cares about, it's really challenging versus you try and find an issue or something that people are looking to buy, right? There's a problem. There's something there that people are want to buy for and solve for. That I think took me a while to figure out and figure out our marketing language and whatnot. So that was a
People want
challenge then for
energy. People are tired.
yeah. And the other one for me was that I feel like I'm never thinking big enough, and it comes back to this imposter syndrome or nervous judging what people will say or failing. But I feel like you're almost afraid to like think large enough, and I just wish I had like could think big enough always. Like I always wish I was thinking more longer term, large enough, bigger, 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 because oftentimes I feel like I'm sort of putting myself in a box and then, defining my own boundaries. And like those are just all made up in my head. Um, so I don't know.
I
That's what I got.
like that a lot, because what you just said is so true. Most of the time you find you really just weren't dreaming big enough. You weren't.
Hmm.
And you were easy. It was so easy for you to reach that goal. It gives you more confidence each time you reach a goal. And
Hmm.
then you realize at each goal, oh, I
Yeah.
thought I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That was piece of cake. And you're like, oh, I could set much bigger goals than that. And you
Hmm.
realize that. But the other bigger thing is the big dreams that you'll really go for. So why not, if you're going to go for a goal, why not go for the biggest dreams you have?
Totally. Yeah. 1,000%. So yeah. I don't know. It sounds like we're pretty aligned, but yeah, those are the takeaways for me personally, just along the journey so far. We'll see. I'm sure they'll change over time.
Well, that's great advice for everybody out there listening. And if you have some bright ideas and you have some goals and dreams and things that you'd like to accomplish, no time like the present to get
Yep.
started. And just realize that it's not going to happen if you don't do it. I mean, if you don't do it, it's just going to be this idea in your brain instead of this
Totally.
product in the supermarket. um
Totally.
yeah, and if we can do it, you can do it. I'm just saying.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also, you have the product. Can you tell everybody where they can get the FORIJ bars and get
Yeah.
better brain power, no brain fog, more energy?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So we sell like kind of, miscellaneous, a lot of regional small health stores. Not sure if there's any in Ohio particularly, but on our website is probably the best place to find them. So www.forij.co. So FORIJ.co. Yeah, we could give a little coupon code if people want to try it from who are
Sure.
listeners too. Maybe
Yeah.
like a sweat 20. We could
Yeah,
see what happens. If people want
that
to try
works.
it, get
Okay.
20% off. You can use the code sweat 20. And yeah, you give the products a try them for a couple of weeks. My email is attached to all the orders, so it's parker@forage.co. So drop me an email, let me know what you think, and hopefully we can help people feel more energized and kind of get more done through the use of these mushrooms.
Well, that sounds like an amazing offer. Sweat 20 for the 20% off the FORIJ bars. Where can we reach you on? Do you have a website? Do you
On
have social
socials.
media?
Yeah. So on the website, forage.co, and then I'm most active on LinkedIn. So if you look my name up, Parker Olson, you'll find me. I'm super active, talk about the journey a lot. Yeah, that's kind of where I
Perfect.
hang out.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being such a wonderful guest on the Sisterhood of Sweat. And we wish you much success with your brand and all your endeavors.
Well, thanks, Linda. Yeah, it's great chatting.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat. And as always, keep on keeping on, everyone.